We kicked off Thanksgiving with Packers at Lions, or perhaps you kicked off your Thanksgiving with the Turkey Bowl outside and then came in to watch Packers at Lions. I had no such Turkey Bowl, so this is what kicked off football for me on Thanksgiving. And it was a great game. Jordan Love throws for 4 touchdowns. The Packers scored 31 points. And the defense slows down the Detroit offense enough, and they only scored 24 points. And do the math for me, Sanders. Is 31 or 24 greater?
31.
There you go. And so the Packers win 31-24. Y'all's thoughts on this game?
What are my thoughts on this game?
Yes, what are your
I
thoughts
have
on this
them
game?
now. Win the time of possession for what? Detroit wins the time of possession again, but they're burning clock on long drives just to not score. Detroit in this game had 8 drives, just 8, which is something we've talked about a lot where if you're a team with a high-octane offense and a ton of talent, you don't want to limit the variance by limiting the possessions. You want to maximize the variance by maximizing the possessions. And so to just have 8 drives because you're just burning clock, it hurts you. Because if you're better offensively, which they are against Green Bay, more drives means more opportunities for them to succeed. It's almost identical to the way it looked in the first game of the year. But in this game specifically, 8 drives, just 2 per quarter. In the second half, they had 18 minutes and 55 seconds time of possession, just 10 points. A 3-minute 52 drive for a turnover on downs. A 3-minute drive for a touchdown. A nearly 6-minute drive to turn it over on downs. And a 6-minute drive for a field goal. And we talked about the same thing in the first game with the Packers after that game where they got stomped in Green Bay. They had 3 drives in that game, 16 plays, 78 yards, 9.5 minutes for a field goal. 13 plays, 55 yards, 7.5 minutes just to throw a pick. And 9 plays, 59 yards, 5 minutes for a field goal. And losses this year for Detroit, which there are now 5 of them. The Packers games, both of them, 3 drives. The first one totaling 22 minutes and 40 seconds. That's over a quarter and a half, 6 points. Over a quarter and a half of having the football, and you have 6 points to show for it. The other Packers game, they had the ball for an entire quarter, 15 minutes, 49 seconds, 3 points to show for it. The Chiefs game, have the ball for 16 minutes, 28 seconds. That's over a quarter, 3 drives, 3 points. The Vikings game, 2 drives totaling 12 minutes, 50 seconds, 3 points. And then the Eagles game is the outlier here. But in the Eagles game, they had 3 punts and 5 turnover on downs. They couldn't move the ball at all. So they had tons of possessions but couldn't score. The Lions also lost this game like in something that they are really good at and they pride themselves on, which is 4th down. Green Bay was ridiculous on 4th down, and they have been all season. Green Bay was 3 for 3. They had a 22-yard touchdown pass on 4th and 3 from the Detroit 22. They had a 2-yard touchdown pass on 4th and 1 on 2nd and goal, and 16 yards on 4th and 3 to seal the game from the Detroit 45. Love was fantastic. That's 3 completions on all 3 4th downs. For Detroit, 4th and 3 from the Green Bay 47. You hand it off to Gibbs. Run it into Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons for whatever reason instead of throwing it. Green Bay then immediately responded to that missed conversion from Detroit with a touchdown. And at the end of in the 4th quarter, it's 4th and 3 from the Green Bay 21. You're down 10 with 11 minutes, and this what was highly questioned of Dan Campbell in the post game. They could not convert on 4th and 3 because J-Mo, not his best game of the season, I'd argue, because he dropped the ball. He dropped a pass. It was behind him. It was a bad throw from Jared Goff, but it hit his hands. He's got to catch that. They were able to force a 3-and-out immediately after that, but they were forced to drive back down the field. Another thing that is continuing to pop up for Detroit, the cute stuff. It's just the opposite of what Detroit claims to be, what Dan Campbell claims to be, bite your kneecaps off. 1st and goal from the 4 in this game. You know what the 3 play calls were?
3 passes.
3 straight passes on 1st and goal from the 4 with Jahmyr Gibbs, with David Montgomery, one of which those passes was from David Montgomery because they run the Wildcat and he tries to throw the jump pass, and it probably should have been picked off. The cute stuff, you can't do that if you claim to be a team that wants to bite people's kneecaps off. They were out-toughed by Green Bay in this game, less rushing yards. Green Bay this season has had one 100-yard rusher in a game. They were outrushed by Green Bay. Last week, Emmanuel Wilson had 100 rushing yards. Not even Josh Jacobs is at a 100-yard game this year, and they were outrushed by Green Bay. Detroit, their defensive line, outshined by Green Bay's defensive line. No sacks to Green Bay's 3. And for Detroit, it's why they continue to move down the pyramid. It is why you're not shocked by these results, but it's not who they've been the past 2 years. And so it's surprising, at least. They lose the game their own way. 4th down, they're doing the cute stuff. They're out-toughed. They have the ball for so long, but they're not doing anything with it. It's got to be frustrating for a Detroit Lion fan. And what is seeming to be the case, at least for me so far, is that not all, which of course is always going to be the case, my preseason takes are coming into fruition at the end of the season.
Sure.
And I think the Detroit Lions one is kind of finally fully rearing its head because I don't think this team makes the postseason. I think Dak goes and beats them on Thursday night in a must-win game for them. And it is going to be a failure of a season. And it's because they can't convert on 4th down. They can't score points consistently. And they're not as tough as they claim to be.
Yeah. I wish we could preview that game, but it's Thursday, so not really doable.
I can tell you who to pick in our pyramid segment.
Yeah, we'll get there in a minute.
And you can tell us who to pick in your totem pole segment, I guess.
Yes. And I would trust the totem pole over the pyramid. I definitely would not do that. The totem pole is still getting workshopped. It really is the 4th downs, because I'm just going to read some stats from this game, and it tells you how similar it was. Both teams were in 60 place. Green Bay had 359 total yards. Detroit had 352 total yards. Yards per pass, 6.0 Green Bay, 5.9. Yards per play, 6.0 Green Bay, 5.9 Detroit Lions. They had the exact same yards per pass at 7.8. There were no turnovers. Yards per rush, 4.2 for Green Bay and 4 for Detroit. Like a 3-minute time possession difference, a 3 penalty to 5 penalty difference. Very little rushing yard discrepancy, obviously. 18 first downs for Green Bay to 20 for Detroit. Like, it was right there. And the Detroit team that has the past couple years been the team that's really good at making the play when it matters most, or executing in the most crucial fine moments for when the game's close like this, for them to come out on top, and they didn't do it. The 4th down point is a perfect example. And now people are like, does Dan Campbell need to change his ways? Which I don't think so, but I guess y'all could disagree with that.
I don't know about change his ways. Go back to what you said you were. The cute stuff is really what pisses me off with them. If you're going to pride yourself on toughness, the cute stuff was cute when you were 15-2 and you were really dominant, and you were doing it when the game was out of reach. When you were doing the fake fumble stumble, they were leading, I think, by 16 in that game over Chicago. I'm fine with it. They're trailing to Green Bay, and you're going to run a jump pass with David Montgomery on 1st and goal from the 4. That stuff, I think it's just get back to what you pride yourself on, which is toughness. And that is what Detroit prides themselves on. If they don't do that on Thursday, if they don't go out there and show Dallas that they can dominate, especially on the ground, because I don't think they're going to have Amon-Ra in that game with how he got rolled up on Thanksgiving, then, I mean, what are we doing here?
Sure.
Ben Johnson was the cute stuff. He's gone now. You need to get back to who you were, because it's the reason you got to where you were. You were so physically dominant. You're able to run the football on anyone and then set up the play action, and it was unstoppable. And then on the defensive side, it was a bunch of dogs. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's not on the roster anymore, was someone who was a dog. In the middle, Alex Anzalone was a dog in the middle. I can tell you, I'm a Saints fan. He was a Saints linebacker. That dude is not talented, but he played his butt off, and he was a dog. Aiden Hutchinson's having a great season, but really outside of them defensively, they don't have any of those guys. right now.
Well, if they do, they're hurt. I mean, they got the secondary, but
Yeah.
the secondary's so banged up.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is like you can say they need to get back to exhibiting their toughness and out physically teams, but like, what if that's just not really a reality that they can achieve with how the roster is made up currently?
Then they're
and
not
with the
making
injuries. Well, I get that, but I'm just
postseason.
saying I wonder if the reason we've seen some more of the cute stuff is because it's felt almost out of necessity of we can't trust this offensive line to go open up gaps in the red zone, stuff like that. I mean, I still would at least try it. You have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. It's a pretty good spot to be in. But I'm just saying, I wonder how much of it is a personnel thing and how much of it is Dan Campbell's in his own head too much when it comes to calling plays.
Yeah,
and it's probably
absolutely.
part of both, realistically. But
To be fair, it's not like they were refusing to run the football. They ran it more times than they threw it. Jahmyr Gibbs, though, only had 20 carries. Only had 68 yards on those 20 carries. So they weren't having rushing success, but still, that's averaging 3 yards a carry. You think you could get that on 4 carries
Sure.
from first and goal from the 4, and they don't. That stuff it's aggravating. They need to put up or shut up on Thursday because their season's on the line. On the Green Bay side, again, it feels like my takes are finally coming into fruition, and Jordan Love was ridiculous in this game. Only 18 for 30, but 234, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Never really put the ball in harm's way. He gave his receivers, again, chances to make big plays and critical plays, and they made them for him, to their credit. The touchdown to Christian Watson, I thought, in the second half was really kind of the first true knife in the chest. I think that was what really cut off Detroit. I thought that almost ended the game. To Detroit's credit, they continued to fight back, and they ended up having to seal it on 4th down. The receiving by committee, it continues to get hyped on as something being bad. But if one guy shows up every single week, it doesn't matter. And I think that helps them a ton. If anything, it's the receiving by committee. The only question right now is, where is Matthew Golden?
That would be the only thing I would say. Is it's great. You're winning games, and you are one guy showing up every week. But right now, the guy who's been a first-round draft pick has not been that guy yet. And so, I don't know. I think that you would like that to happen this season, because as much as you can defend it and say, oh, well, there's just so many other guys we have in the building, like, you would still like 1 week the guy who's been a first-round draft pick to be the guy. It's not often that you spend a first-round draft pick in a guy and don't expect him to be your wide receiver 1.
yeah, he had no targets.
Yeah, and even in a talented room and even in a deep room, your wide receiver 1 needs to... has he broken 100 yards yet? Is it done it once?
I extremely, extremely doubt it.
I don't think he's got close, to be honest.
I thought he had 80 yards at least 1 week, and I just couldn't
Maybe he
remember
did.
if he had anything beyond that. So it's that kind of has me nervous. Like, why is he just not shown up at all? And if he continues to not show up, is there a chance they look back on this season and think, wow, like we were missing, like if we just had a little bit more depth somewhere else or a little bit more talent somewhere else, would the season have gone a little bit differently if they lose in the playoffs? He had 86 yards in a game.
Gotcha.
That was his maximum. Which he did have 100 total yards because he had 86 receiving and 16 rushing.
Shout out to him. This is just why, you just don't draft someone out of Texas, I guess. Obviously,
like
not a great development school.
Galvin Banks Jr.
I mean, every so often, something will happen, but what Texas wide receiver has really been drafted high recently and taken the reigns or taken
there've only been
world by
2
storm.
drafted high recently. It was A.D. Mitchell and now Matthew Golden, right?
Xavier Worthy.
Oh yeah, was Worthy a first rounder?
I think he was
Second. No, he was first because the Chiefs traded up.
Into the first, yeah.
But Mitchell was not a first.
No, I think he was a second.
80 is cooking for the Jets.
Yeah.
Isaiah Bond getting some run.
That guy's terrible. He
Bond
needs to be
or
off-
Mitchell?
Bond.
He got a big time pass for Bama when he was at Bama
He did.
Yes,
a long time ago.
a 4th and 31.
Yeah.
The
grave digger.
He is. I watched the Shador Sanders game, and he's not helping Shador
Sure.
at all. I'm pretty sure he had 2 drops in that game, and they were bad. But yes, Green Bay, like I was saying, is coming into the fold. They just got to, I mean, it is kind of the thing with all of these teams. They don't have really the proven quarterback. Consistency. Just have this consistent performance week after week. I heard Coward said, I think it was either today or yesterday, he said, oh, yeah, if Green Bay puts together another great performance this week, they're the best team in the league. Why? Well, then why aren't they just the best team in the league right now? I don't have them as the best team in the league. I don't feel that way because it's a fair point still.
Yeah,
They don't show
I don't think you can
consistently.
critique that guy too much because like you said, well, barring results from this week, we may have a team resurface from the graveyard.
Yeah, because a quarterback resurfaced from the graveyard.
Yeah, but I still feel like you do have results that are dependent on an outcome of the upcoming week.
It would be 2 shocking results is what it is. It is a Cincinnati win by 22 points over a team that I had on tier 3 last week, or actually tier 4. No, actually, I'm pretty sure it was tier 3. And then it would be, again, another win over a tier 3 team if they won at Buffalo this week. And if they won in the same fashion, I have no choice but to move them back on.
Sure.
For Green Bay, number 1 seed is right in front of them. They still play Chicago twice. And with their tie, it's going to help them. Now, they still have to go to Denver, but they will host Baltimore and Vikings as their capper, which means that final week that could be potentially playing for the 1 seed could be very easy, unless 9 is playing. You never know.
True.
But because of the tie, they only have to get to the same amount of wins as whoever is above them, and that is the key part to it. Not the same amount of losses, so they just need to win 1 more game than the Bears or the Rams or Seattle the rest of the way, and they will be the 1 seed. And so it's very possible. They play Chicago twice, go to Denver. Denver apparently is fraudulent, according to Jack. We'll see how the pyramid feels about them. And you get to host the Ravens, and that should be a house money game. I feel like they can very easily get to. If the 1 seed is anyone, it's them, or it's the Rams and Seattle for me. I mean, it's not really an unpopular take, but that is kind of how I feel at this point with those teams. And Seattle and Los Angeles still have to play each other, and they can beat each other up one more time. So I feel good about my Green Bay number 1 overall seed take still, and I'll be ready to go to that TikTok comment page when that occurs.
I hope you get to do that. I think I have them as the 1 seed too, so I would get to victory lap.
I can
with
look.
you.
I have the page up.
I know I didn't, so I will not be victory lapping that. I'll just victory lap my Broncos TikTok.
Sure. That you backed off of, but whatever.
Mike, it's all Jerry Jones' fault.
You did have them as the 1 seed, Jack.
Yep.
13-4.
I knew I was really high on them.
Sanders' number 1 overall seed was
Hold up, NFC?
Yeah, yikes.
Was it the Lions?
Much worse.
Eagles.
Commanders?
Much worse. It was the Washington Commanders.
Wow. Well, Jane Daniels doesn't get hurt. No, I'm just
But yeah.
That's a bad one. It happens.
Yeah, if half the team doesn't, peak last year, and now they're all downhill because they're 30+, then...
They're not all 30+. Just a lot of them.
Hey, look, Jack had the Falcons winning the NFC South, so...
True.